a wonderful Christmas. My Christmas was great. It was chill. Yesterday I went and visited my family in the Lexington area, and it's one of those hard years. We lost our mom in August, and so one of those hard years, and I know a lot of you have had or are having. But you know what? We found a way to laugh and play games and have fun and eat good food in the midst of that. And so it was a real blessing to be with them and, grieve together, but laugh together. So I hope your all's Christmases were wonderful. But here we are now, right, in this in-between time. And I've kind of found that this week, between Christmas and New Year's, it kind of hits different with different personalities. One of the bakeries in town, the gluten-free bakery, I was in there, and she's going to be closed until January 6th. And I said, man, you're going to get a really nice long break. She said, let's be honest. After 2 or 3 days, I'm going to wish I was here. And so I know that might be some of you, but then there are the readers who are on book 4 by now, and they're like, don't touch me. I need some tea and a blanket. I'm reading. I'm not going anywhere this week. So there's that. And then, some of us take our decorations down already, but then if you're like me, you're sucking the very life out of Christmas until sometime in January. That's what I like to do. And let's be honest, some years it's been February. Merry Christmas. So when I was thinking about this in-between period and what I might talk about today, because they didn't give me a subject, it was free reign. I was like, let's go. But I started thinking about, all of these Christmas characters we've been thinking about and talking about in the last month or so, and maybe what happened to them next. So after the angels, after the star, after this baby king was born, what happened next? They've been told that, they've been waiting for so long, and he's here. So what do you do now? How did this change their lives? And the answer is we don't really know. The Bible doesn't really tell us that. To me, it's kind of like a Hallmark movie, right? So I made you this with my friend ChatGPT. I do have to tell you guys, I didn't tell the first service this, but I was because see, the wise men are still they look old school. And I was like, can you make this more modern? And when I did that, the wise men got sports cars and black, long, coats and glasses. And baby Jesus was still in that manger and the hay, but in an SUV. I think that's probably accurate. I have that on my phone if anybody wants to see that after service. It's pretty epic. But we ended here because I was like, I don't know. Everybody's modern except for the wise men. I don't know. Anyway, so Krista is this avid Hallmark watcher, right? And so as I was thinking about this Christmas story, I was thinking, this plot is 99.2% of all Hallmark movies, if you ask me. So you have Mary. She's just living her life out there with her fiance, right? And then this angel shows up. It's the angel of Christmas future. And she says, okay, both of them. And then, just like any other Hallmark movie, for whatever reason, they have to leave home. You always have to leave in a Hallmark movie, right? So they go somewhere, and she's pregnant, really pregnant at this point. And so they show up at this beautiful inn. It's all decorated. It probably smells like pine and cinnamon and all the things, but they're no rooms. Sorry, no rooms. But that's okay because the woman at the desk with her Christmas cardigan, she says, oh, I'm so sorry. Every spot in town is booked for this census, but we have a barn, right? And so Mary, Mother of God, goes glamping. But she's grumpy about it, right? And then we cut to this field of farmers, and boom, angels are back. There they are again, angel of Christmas present. And they say, hey, there's this baby coming today in Bethlehem, and he's going to be a real world changer. You'll find him all wrapped up in this cute muslin blanket, glamping in a barn. You should go see him. So they all fall down in awe because they're angels on a farm. And then meanwhile, we cut back, and it's time for the baby to come. There's this beautiful music montage, sweet baby Jesus in his hay, maybe in an SUV, maybe not. And so there's baby Jesus in the hay, and then we get 8 days later, baby Jesus goes to church, and then you cut to Mary and Joseph, and they're smiling, and they're holding the sweet Son of God, and of course, what do? It's Hallmark. They have to kiss, y'all. They kiss because it's Walmart. That's Walmart. That is not something I want to see at Walmart. Oh my goodness, y'all. They kiss because it's Hallmark, and then it's the end, and we don't get the rest of the story, right? What happens next? Does he change the world? Do they ever get back home safely? Was he allergic to all that hay? Like, does this star follow him around his entire childhood? But Luke leaves us hanging. The Christmas story ends like this in Luke 2:40. And then the child grew and became strong. He was filled with wisdom, and the grace of God was on him. Then the next thing we get is Jesus as a 12-year-old, and we get another small glimpse into him as a child. This is verses 41 through 52. Every year, Jesus' parents went to Jerusalem for the festival of the Passover. When he was 12 years old, they went up to the festival according to the custom. After the festival was over, while his parents were returning home, the boy Jesus stayed behind in Jerusalem. But they were unaware of it. Thinking he was in their company, they traveled on for a day. Then they began looking for him among their relatives and friends. When they did not find him, they went back to Jerusalem to look for him. After 3 days, they found him in the temple courts, sitting among the teachers, listening to them and asking them questions. Everyone who heard him was amazed at his understanding and his answers. When his parents saw him, they were astonished. His mother said to him, "Son, why have you treated us like this? Your father and I have been anxiously searching for you." "Why were you searching for me?" he asked. "Didn't you know I had to be in my father's house?" But they did not understand what he was saying to them. Then he went down to Nazareth with them and was obedient to them. But his mother treasured all these things in her heart, and Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and man. There are a couple of things I want to point out to the parents and caregivers in the room, especially if you have tweens. I want to point out, number one, they lost God, okay? For 3 days, they lost God. So if you may misplace your child in Target or New York City or something for a few minutes, it's okay. I don't know. If you're picturing Finn in this story, no shoes. So it's okay. Don't be hard on yourself. They lost God. Number two, maybe. I bet their clothes looked a lot similar then too. I don't know. All right. So number two, even Mary, the mother of Jesus, the Jesus, had moments when she was like, "Why do my kids treat us like this?" So remember, your feelings are valid. Lastly, number three, after Jesus tells them why he stayed, that she should know what he was doing, that he was doing his Father's business, the Bible clearly says, but they did not understand what he was saying to them. So all of the skibbity, cap, 6, 7, sigma, Riz stuff going on, it's okay if you don't understand it. Mary and Joseph didn't get it. They get you. So they had no idea what tween Jesus was saying, okay? I just did that for all of you who are stuck at home right now with children. Just understand, Mary gets it. So these days between Christmas and New Year's Eve when there's no school, they're long, right? So that's a little encouragement for you. There's hope. After this story of Jesus as a 12-year-old, Luke skips ahead. We skip ahead till Jesus is around 30 years old when he was baptized by John the Baptist. So let's do a little recap on this whole Advent story. The Hebrew children have been waiting 600 to 700 years, something like that, from the time Isaiah and Micah prophesied the coming of this king until Jesus actually showed up. 600 or 700 years. Mary and Joseph waited 9 months from the time the angel told them until the birth. And then the world had to wait 30 years before his baptism and his ministry. So are we still waiting? Does this waiting thing never end? Are we living in a waiting story? When Mary and Joseph left Jesus behind in the temple for 3 days, he was there getting curious. He was asking questions and listening to the Jewish leaders. And that's always how we approach the Bible around here, right? So that's kind of what I tried to do with these scriptures. And the more I got curious and the more I read, I started to realize that we're not living in a waiting story. We are living in a becoming story. After the Christmas story, Luke says this: "The child grew and became strong. He was filled with wisdom, and the grace of God was on him." And then 12 years later, after the temple story, he says, "Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and man." When we're growing, we're not waiting on something. We're becoming someone. When we think about the fact that there were about 700 years between that first mention of the Messiah and then Jesus' ministry, it kind of seems clear to me that God seems far more interested in who we are becoming than how fast we get there. This story of incarnation, of Jesus becoming the embodiment of God, it's a story that shows us that God's committed to this long process with us, this long process of becoming, this long process of salvation and wholeness and healing that we are living. This story also said that God works in our human parameters. Jesus could have showed up as a fully formed human, strong and powerful and ready to take over. But we know that he was carried and formed like any other human baby. He grew in wisdom, strength, stature, all the ways we are also growing. God's not asking us to be superhumans. God wants to work within our humanity. I think about all those sweet kiddos that I can hear. I don't know if you all can, but I can hear them through this vent right now. All of those sweet kiddos through Advent that we watched come up and, place this stuff and read for us and almost burn their arms as they lighted candles. It was very scary at moments. But we would never expect all of them to act like 40-year-olds, right? We don't want that. We don't want that. We love seeing them as kids, watching the wonder and the joy. They're being exactly who they are meant to be while becoming who they will be. And that doesn't end when we reach adulthood. We are forever becoming who we are. The 30 years of Jesus' lost story, it's a call for you and me to live our lives being present, being in these precious moments, not wishing them to be over or to move ahead to the next thing, to just the simple knowing that we are all becoming. So what's that look like? Well, let's look back at young Jesus and maybe take a page out of his book for this one. When Mary finds him in the temple, she says, "Boy, why'd you do this to me?" And that's my paraphrase, but I think that's what she said. "We've been searching everywhere for you." And what does he say? "Didn't you know I would be in my Father's house?" Some translation says, "Didn't you know I would be about my Father's business?" But the Greek for that word business there and that phrasing, it's not easy to translate into English. It's really similar to our English word something. So Jesus is saying, "Didn't you know I would be about my Father's somethings?" Which is why it's hard to translate. But basically he says, "Mom, didn't you know I would be doing my dad's stuff?" Which is why she didn't understand what he was talking about, right? What does God's stuff mean? But I think even 12-year-old Jesus was intentional with his phrasing, because as we think about what it might look like for us as we're trying to be intentional and live in these moments of becoming, we can look back. This is the only glimpse into his childhood, and what's he doing? He's doing the Father's stuff. That seems to say to me that as we are becoming, our job is just to do God's stuff. And I think that's vague and nondescript on purpose, because we all have our own stuff we're supposed to be doing, right? Of course, we're all loving people, loving the person in front of us, being kind, trying to live out those fruit of the Spirit qualities. But we all do that differently. It looks different from person to person. Your Father's stuff, it might look different than the person beside of you. This is not a competition. This is just you and me showing up every day, being our best selves, and trying to do our best about the Father's business in our world, right? So this is traditionally the week when people start making New Year's resolutions. But studies show that 80% of people have given up on their resolutions by February. Many of those people have given up by what is now named Quitter's Day, which is the second Friday in January. Just 2 weeks, right? On the average, people who actually stick with it is the average is 4 months that people actually stick with it. And I told them in the first service, and I'll tell you all, I didn't write this in, but I am not good at this, real bad at resolutions. But one year I decided to give myself a resolution that I could keep. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do something I can keep. So I said, every month this year, I will eat the blizzard of the month at Dairy Queen. That's when I had a metabolism. But I didn't even make that one, guys. I think I got 7 months into blizzard of the month. But so anyway, sometimes these just don't work. And they don't work for me because of what I'm talking about. Because for me, resolutions become this waiting game, right? I'm waiting for it to develop into a habit or to see the results. If I start the gym on January 1, I want to be fit, strong, and running a 10-minute mile by February 1, right? I'm waiting for that to work, and that's ridiculous. There's no way that's possible. But that's kind of what we do to ourselves, right? We want these results. We're waiting to get these results. But if we can switch our mindsets to a becoming mindset, I feel like that might change things for us. Maybe if we frame it a little bit differently, we can find more grace in this process of becoming. And we're more likely to be kind to ourselves. So as we enter into 2026, it's natural for us to look back at where we've been in the last year. And then it's also natural to look ahead, where are we going? Where are we headed? But maybe if we take 2026 and we do a little bit less waiting on results and more intentionally becoming a person who's just doing God's stuff, then maybe some of those other things in our lives that we've been trying to improve and change start falling into place. Instead of me seeing the gym as a place that'll make me strong and fast, maybe I start telling myself, I am a person who is healthy and strong. And the gym is just one of those aspects of life that's helping me become who I am. I can be gentle with myself because there's no timeline on becoming. It's a lifelong process. If I decided this year that I'm going to be more patient, I can be kind when I fall short because I'm still becoming. There is no timeline. So as we enter this week together, when lots of people are looking back and looking ahead, who are you becoming? What are some things that will help you on that journey? So I want us to take a few minutes together and think through that today. To be intentional about how we enter this new year of becoming. So we're going to do a little reflection moment together. So I invite you, if you want, you can close your eyes if that's helpful for you. Whatever is helpful for you. Just be cozy in your chair. This is a cozy place. We call it God's living room around here. So I invite you to settle in and place your feet on the floor. Take in a slow, deep breath. And just gently let it go. We're standing in a rare space between what has been and what is still unfolding. Christmas has come. The child has been born, but the story is not finished. Jesus did not arrive fully grown. He learned to walk. He learned to speak. He grew in wisdom and in grace. And so do we. Take a moment to look back on the year behind you. Not to judge it, not to fix it, but simply to notice. What has shaped you? What has stretched you? What has revealed what you still long for? Now, gently turn your attention forward, not to resolutions, not to outcomes, but to becoming. Ask yourself quietly, who is God inviting me to become in this year ahead? Not what do I need to accomplish, not what do I need to prove, but who am I being formed into? Allow a word or a phrase to rise up. Patient, present, brave, rooted, whole, open, peaceful. There's no rush. If nothing comes to you yet, that's okay. Just give yourself grace in this process. And when a word or phrase begins to shape, just hold it gently. And now, complete this in your heart. This year, I will practice becoming, and you fill in the blank. Notice the word practice. Practice allows room for failure and growth. Practice assumes learning over time. Practice trusts that transformation is slow and holy. As you hold this intention, imagine God's presence with you, not pushing, not demanding, but walking alongside you in the long becoming. Take in another breath. Release it slowly. If it feels right, you might want to write this word down later, or you might carry it into prayer with you, or you simply might just let it rest in your heart. Because Advent did not end on Christmas. The becoming continues, not as emptiness, but as growth. And God is faithful in every step of this becoming. Pray with me. God, I just pray that today, as we walk into this week of in between and this week of looking back and looking forward, that we would be intentional about who we are becoming and who we want to continue to become in this year ahead. God, I pray in that process of looking and exploring, that we would remember that you are right alongside of us. That you're not one of those leaders that has your hand on our back pushing us where we're supposed to be, but that you are a loving friend who is just there with us, just cheering us on as we experience what becoming more like you looks like and feels like in our lives. So walk with us in this process, God, as we enter this year of new beginnings, this time when we all feel like it's a little bit quiet, but a little bit hopeful. Stand with us, walk with us, like you always are. And God, I pray that we are aware of your presence and aware of who we are becoming. In your name, amen.